please. Well, I did some homework. I watched Elephant Man.
Oh, the David Lynch movie.
Yes. David Lynch, starring Anthony Hopkins, I believe.
And John Hurt.
Is that who it is? How do you know who plays Elephant Man?
Because he's a famous
that's who you're
actor.
referring to. Oh, really?
You know the other homework I gave you to watch The Storyteller?
Yes.
That's narrated by the same guy.
That plays the Elephant Man. Okay, the Elephant Man is an absolute disgusting, grotesque-looking dude.
It's not. It's not hosted by the same guy. Is it? Okay,
I'll check
keep talking
that.
You keep talking about the Elephant Man. I just need to look up John Hurt's IMDb really quick. But yes, please go on.
He is ugly as sin, isn't he?
What, the Elephant Man?
The Elephant Man.
Oh, he's shocking, isn't he?
Pretty good job for they do the makeup and everything else. He's a grotesque abomination of nature.
Hot take. Is that what you took from the movie?
What?
Gosh, what a head.
He's a very sweet. He's a very tender, loving creature.
Beautiful. Yes.
He's such a beautiful man. And he breaks down when people are nice to him because he's just not used to being treated so well.
Yes.
It's quite endearing.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
And then some people are nice to him and other people are just the worst.
The worst. He gets to experience the full range. A lot of people won't experience the full range.
He definitely gets the full range.
I'll be honest, I can't remember it, but I do sort of think it's one of David Lynch's most normal narrative pieces in that it's just a story. You're just on this journey with this dude. But I'm not used to that with a David Lynch movie. If you said we're going to watch a David Lynch movie, I'd be like, oh, yeah. Cool, let's go. Let's get fucked up. That's what usually I'm in the mood for with David Lynch movies.
It's quite easy to follow the story as far as stories go, and particularly for David Lynch, like you're saying. So he's originally he's basically a freak, and this doctor, being Anthony Hopkins, can't remember what his name is in the movie, but he plays a doctor at the Hospital of London, and he comes across this freak, this Elephant Man that's performing at a freak show.
Yes.
And presumably it's in the 19, I don't know when it's set, maybe it's the 1940s or something, early in that, yeah. So it's very, they're looking very regal and posh and whatnot. And
the doctors are, yeah.
And everyone, the doctors, anyone of wealth is wearing, vests. And
did he go to a show and see him?
He did.
Yeah.
He was actually trying to locate him because he overheard the Elephant Man show was getting shut down by the police because it was too grotesque and too much of an abomination.
Jesus.
And
that's
Anthony
a pretty
Hopkins,
hard thing to put on a freak. Sorry, you're too freaky and therefore you can't work in this business. You're like, hang on a sec, but where do I go?
It's my only source of income.
Yeah.
And Anthony Hopkins, I think, picked up on this, and then he wanted to see this freak himself. So he had to locate the owner and then pay him for a private show.
Oh my God.
And a little tear falls down his face when he sees this man because he just looks like a sack of shit. And
he's also in just the worst conditions ever.
Squalor, absolute squalor. And he could tell that the owner was just abusing him for his freakiness because he was also physically abusing him. And
yes,
it was tough. And so essentially the doctor takes him in, says, oh, can I just have a look at him? I'm just going to use him for observation. I just want to see what he's got and see if I can cure him. And I'm not sure exactly. I think he maybe paid the
probably
owner
paid
of the
freak. Slave owner out. Yeah.
Don't recall exactly how that came about. But at the end of the day, he starts living at the hospital despite the owner wants him back, but he's saying, no, this man needs help and I'm providing him with this help. So Anthony Hopkins manages to keep hold of him.
Yeah, on medical grounds. On
medical grounds, perhaps, yes. Puts him in a suit and the Elephant Man becomes super refined and polite and is quite sophisticated.
Mm.
He enjoys art.
Worldly, yes.
Worldly. He's read lots of things and
people
then
want to meet him.
Yeah, the elite start wanting to meet him.
Yeah. But not meet him to like look at him and throw mud at him and stuff, to spend time and have a drink and get sophisticated with them, you know?
Yeah, because they're sort of, I guess, interested
But what do you
in...
think what do you think is going on there?
Well, that's...
Do you think he's being appreciated for the person he is, or do you think he's literally signed up for just the rich person's freak show? Do you know what I'm saying?
I know.
Where it's like
a little bit.
The elites go, oh man, you're gonna fucking love the party on the weekend because we've got the Elephant Man. You know, the one that people go crazy for down at the circus, but they're in squalor. We're not going to see him down there. They're not going down there to see him. No, we bring him to us.
In a lot of ways, it is. And Anthony Hopkins has that realization that maybe he is doing the same thing.
Yes,
that the owner did, but just on a different level.
Yeah, but he would have other doctors look at him. You know, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, you're incredible." You know, like, this is amazing.
Yeah, but he's showing him for science, also just showing him.
Yeah,
but to a different collection of people.
People who can appreciate it instead of treat it with disgust.
But what happens is so sad, and I actually found it difficult to watch. I was really worried he was going to die,
right?
Actually, because what happens is some guy that just hangs out at the pub gets all these... He knows where the Elephant Man lives now in the hospital.
Jesus.
And he gets a whole bunch of drunk idiots to give him all a quid or whatever and swing by the Elephant Man's place. They're a big horde of them, big mob. And not only does he have half the pub with him, the old owner tails along for a show, right?
Fuck.
They all go in there and they're all pissing on, treating him like a piece of shit, pouring bourbon all over his face. And I don't know if he's very weak, but I also think he's panicking a little bit. He doesn't really know how to deal with the situation because he's having flashbacks to being gawked at for however long he's been alive.
Mm.
And then he's almost passed out. They're like parading him around and dancing with him.
Familiar trauma.
Yes, lots of trauma.
Mm.
And then when they all leave, the owner says, my treasure.
Yeah.
And it's really creepy. Yes, and he abducts him and brings him back on tour, back on the freak tour.
No. Sick.
And he almost kills him. And this is the part that's hard to watch because he's so drunk and he's so filthy with him. He's so upset. He's got a lot going on in his life, the owner. Man.
He's got problems.
And he's thrashing him and beating him, and the Elephant Man's not well. And he thinks that the Elephant Man is being a little bitch just to spite him.
Oh. Turns it around on him. He's got
So he's flogging him within an inch of his life.
Yep.
But it's the lows that make the highs special.
Yeah.
That's, I think, what David Lynch does really well in this.
Yeah.
He really makes it's so bleak.
But it's a true story as well.
How so?
What do you mean?
Is there a guy that had some condition or like this, or how's it go?
Yeah, his name was Joseph Merrick. He had a movie made after him called The Elephant Man. He was born in 1862. He died in 1890 at Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel.
I had no idea it was based on a true story.
Oh, yeah, it's based on a true story.
Obviously, this is... And so what part of it is it... Did this owner abduct him again? Or is that where it becomes fantastical?
I would have to find something about the movie and the discrepancies between the movie because obviously there might be some parts that are either changed or whatnot. How
good is it when some people are following him at some point near the end of the movie? It's hard to explain, but some people are following him. He was trying to stay with a low profile because he was trying to escape to a new life, if you know what I mean, and observe and just avoid being in the spotlight. And a whole horde of people track him and are following him because of the scene that he's making into the toilet. And he exclaims, "I'm not an elephant.
Yeah.
I'm not an animal. I'm a human being. I am a man."
It's amazing.
It's so
The film
good.
was directed by David Lynch, produced by Mel Brooks, who was uncredited to avoid audience anticipating the film to be in the vein of his comedic works.
Really?
Yeah, so if it said Mel Brooks as the Elephant Man, people would have been like, I loved Spaceballs. I loved Blazing Saddles. Let's go and have a giggle down at the Elephant Man.
Wow.
And for the first 30 minutes of the movie, they'd be like laughing, but because they think it's a comedy.
Yeah.
But then they'd go, hang on a sec, this never was a comedy. So that's why his name was kept off the credits.
Yeah, no,
That's a fascinating little tidbit.
Yeah, it makes complete sense.
And John Hurt is the storyteller in The Storyteller. I just confirmed that as well.
Okay.
Same bloke.
A few links there.
And you'd know his face because he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's quite famous.
Yeah, okay. Well, ultimately, The Elephant Man culminates in the Elephant Man himself going to the theatre for the first time.
Right.
And he's met the organizer at the theatre and a couple other people, and she comes out on stage and asks him just to, he says that the show has been dedicated in his honor, and he gets this standing ovation, and it's just this really powerful, fulfilling moment. And although it's an older movie, it's in black and white, it has so much substance and you get so much out of it. You actually, at the end of the movie, you feel like you've learned something.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great movie. And it has been too long since I watched it. But, yeah.
That's good stuff.
On at least one occasion, Merrick was able to, this is the real Merrick, was able to fulfill a long-held desire to visit the theatre. With the help of a friend or whatever, arranged for him to attend the Christmas pantomime at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane. Merrick sat with some nurses concealed in Lady Burdett Cou's private box. He was awed and enthralled, and the spectacle left him speechless, so that if he was spoken to, he took no heed. Wow. So he loved it. His skeleton's on display somewhere? Jesus Christ. All right, so, yeah, real dude. Great story. David Lynch curveball.